Silver Bulletin Live, your nonstop all-access source for Ohio State athletics. Let's go, Buckeye Nation, because here are your hosts, Blake Biscardi and Josh Big Cass Cassinger. It's go time, Buckeye fans. Beat that team up north.
What's Ohio? What's going on? Welcome into TSB Live. We are live here at Hoggy's on Bethel Road in Columbus. A great show for you tonight as we preview the game, Ohio State versus Michigan. That game is going to be on Saturday. Special guest, former Buckeye offensive lineman Branden Bowen, joining us tonight, as well as legendary Pickerington high school football coach and former Ohio State assistant Jack Johnson. My name is Blake Biscardi. I am your host. Josh Cassinger joining me tonight. Let's do this, partner.
Yeah, it's a great week, the most intense and nervous week of all, even for Buckeye fans and Buckeye players. I couldn't imagine what those guys are about to go through starting tomorrow, gearing up for this game. You saw on Sunday, Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs going through campus and marking off the M's. It's great. I'm getting chills just thinking about it, and it's only Monday. That's the thing. It's only Monday. And this is the big one. This is a huge game because can Ohio State snap a 4-game losing streak to that team up north? And Blake, it's got to happen. You saw the dagger grin, I call it, that Ryan Day had at the end of the game against Rutgers with that post-game interview with Jenny Taft. So I think Ryan Day's got something cooking.
I think he does too, and this rivalry is 24/7, 365. And this week, it all hits because it's go time. We're going to have showtime here Saturday at noon, and we're going to dive into that tonight too. Branden Bowen's going to give us an inside look of what this week and what this rivalry is like from the perspective of a player. From Coach Johnson, we're going to hear what it's like from the perspective of a coach. He's got some stories from Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel days. And we've got Branden Bowen with some really unique perspective here, getting the Urban Meyer and the Ryan Day era. So we're going to have 4 humongous figures in Ohio State football, especially as coaches, to hear what that game was like under each of those 4 guys.
And I know that between the 2 guys that we have on air, there's many of gold pants we get to talk about in those games and everything. I can remember my very first game being in 1998. Do you know who the quarterback was in 1998 for that team up north when Ohio State beat them 31-16?
We should have had this as an Aflac trivia question. I'm going to go Tom Brady.
Tom Brady was the starting quarterback for that team up north. 31-16, Michael Wiley, David Boston, D. Miller had a huge game that day. And, being a 5th grader, a 10, 11-year-old kid, and being able to be allowed to say some words that I can't repeat on air was amazing. In 98, you had the big cat, Andy Katzenmoyer, but to beat Tom Brady. But who knew that Tom Brady would be Tom Brady, who we are, back in 1998. Unfortunately, Nick Saban, another college football legend, ruined Ohio State's chances at a national championship that year. But Ohio State did go on and win the Sugar Bowl against Texas A&M, who could possibly be a matchup for the Buckeyes in the playoffs, knowing going forward as we go forward this rest of the season.
Yeah, it could. And, Urban Meyer said all the time, careers are made and legends are born in this game. So I think, Cass, we've talked about this off air. We're going to get into it on the show. What legend's going to be born on Saturday?
I mean, I've been saying it all week with the uncertainty of Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. This screams a Mylan Graham or Quincy Porter, Chris Olave type Garrett Wilson game. You talk about what Garrett Wilson did in 2019, who is a Branden Bowen teammate, and then you talk about what Chris Olave did in 2018 in the shoe his freshman year, where he blocked a punt that went for a touchdown for the Buckeyes in that huge victory with Dwayne Haskins. And that's a thing we can ask Branden, what it was like playing with J.T. Barrett, Dwayne Haskins, and Justin Fields, some big name players that Branden got to play with.
Absolutely. We've got stories from big name coaches, big name players, a lot to get to on the episode. We're extremely excited. You feel it in the air. You feel this game in the air all the time, but especially this week. It feels a little bit different outside when that clock hits triple zeros the Saturday before, because you officially turn that page right there. You don't wait until Sunday. when that game ended against Rutgers, when that game ended against Maryland, you turn that page and you say, boom, the game's here.
Yeah, both coaches literally to tell you, hey, we got to get ready for that game. Sharon Moore had his press conference today, and he just talked about how much he has respect for this Ohio State team. They got a bunch of weapons everywhere on that field. He talked about the wide receivers are elite. He talked about all three, Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith are all elite, good running backs, elite quarterback, Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback who, talk about legacies that could win a Heisman Trophy. No, Julian Sayin is not being talked about right now. It's been Fernando Mendoza and a newcomer in Jeremiah Love being talked about, who, honestly, I've talked about a great deal that if it's not Julian Sayin that wins Heisman, it should be Jeremiah Love, but we'll get more into that later on to detail. But this is a legacy for Julian Sayin. He wins this game and then goes out and outduels Fernando Mendoza. Ain't no shot he's not winning the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I think that's what's nice for Julian Sayin right now. I think that's where Ohio State wants it to be. Yes, you want your quarterback to win the Heisman Trophy, but it's not about individual awards. No. Ryan Day says it all the time. It's about us. That's been the big message from him to his team all year long, is it's about us, because they've made games about the opponent sometimes, and we saw that last year in the shoe when Ryan Day and the Buckeyes went out there, and we saw a game plan that said, hey, we're trying to define toughness as running the football up the middle and establish our will. And, that might not be the identity of your football team.
No.
And so Ohio State needs to play Ohio State football on Saturday, because Michigan has played Michigan football each of the last 4 years, and we see the result. How many of those games has Ohio State actually played Ohio State football in that game? So that's a big thing that we're going to watch here on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the the other side of the ball. We've talked about the offense. This is a veteran-led defense led by Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, Caden Curry, and all those folks. Arvell Reese, who's been emerged, who's been really quiet lately. That's kind of the scary thing when you think of Matt Patricia's offense. But here comes a true freshman quarterback. Has not been a true freshman quarterback play in this game since Terrell Pryor, since Braxton Miller. I'm sorry for that. And think about it, Braxton Miller lost in that game in 2011. And what did Denard Robinson and Brady Hoke do? They confused the young star quarterback, who we think Bryce Underwood's going to be a very good player.
Absolutely.
Can Matt Patricia dial up that NFL-style defense to confuse the young quarterback? That's going to be something we got to look at too.
Right, and I also think you can flip that the other way. Can Michigan confuse Julian Sayin?
Yeah.
That's the other we have two raw quarterbacks here. We have a redshirt freshman and a true freshman. How is that going to look? What looks are they going to give them? Can they confuse them? What defense are they going to see? And then what wide receivers and what playmakers are going to be available for both of them? Because Michigan could be without a fullback, could be without another running back. Ohio State could potentially be without both receivers. I anticipate Jeremiah Smith playing. Carnell Tate, the confidence level is not as high. But, yeah, these are all factors that are coming into the game, and that's part of football. It's a long season. We're sitting here in week 13.
Week 13 already. Thanksgiving week,
Week 14.
Back in early 90s, 2000s to 80s, always the week before Thanksgiving. But now we're in the Thanksgiving week, so everything's wonky. And you got to think, Ryan Day took some traditions where a lot of Buckeye fans were saying, well, why did he take out the band thing and put it in the bye week, which was smart. Ryan Day has never had media coverage for this, or he always did it on Monday, and that was it for this week. So he's taken this game as, this is the game. We're going to handle it like any other game, but we know the magnitude of this game because it is the game. But going back to Julian Sayin and Bryce Underwood, the thing that Julian Sayin has over Bryce Underwood is a veteran-led defense.
Right. And that's the thing. When you have Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese in the middle of that defense, Caden McDonald in the middle of that defensive line, and then on the backside, Caleb Downs. Not to mention Caden Curry, who already has 10 sacks this year. When you have that on the defense to rely on, then you have Jermaine Matthews, Davis Nick-Benosin on the outside. Yeah. And then Lorenzo Styles, we know his health is in question here with that shoulder injury he left against Rutgers. But that Ohio State defense is loaded.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at I sent a picture to you and Dan, our good buddy Dan, who's going to come on the podcast, from the Bunch of Nuts podcast, is going to come in here. I sent you guys a picture of Caden McDonald during warm-ups, and I said, how many quarter pounders with cheese can Caden McDonald slam down? The dude is a massive human being, and he's so disruptive. And the thing is he gets overlooked because of Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs. He's playing an All-American level, but he's not getting that recognition as an All-American player because of who he's playing with.
Yeah, and again, careers are made, legends are born in this game. If you want to be a legend, if you're playing at that level, it's going to show up on Saturday because you're going to play at your best, and then people are going to know who you are if they don't already.
Yeah, again, we're here at Hoggy's right here on 830 Bethel Road. Come join us right here. Big high-impact show. It's our first live show here on the Silver Bulletin Live. Again, Rivalry Week. Let's talk about it before we get into it. We got big-time rivalry games this week. I got Texas A&M, Texas on Friday. Mm-hmm. Friday is actually a really good slate of college football. You got Iowa, Nebraska at noon. You got Georgia Tech at 3:30, and then you finish up the night with the Egg Bowl and Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Texas A&M. So a big slate for Friday, and especially you got the Iron Bowl on Saturday as well.
Yeah, there's a lot, and all these games, Cash, you're mentioning, all have playoff implications. That's the big thing. Even Ohio State, Michigan here, that has playoff implications. It's winning in for Michigan most likely to get to the playoff. Ohio State pretty much has secured a spot. This one's for Indianapolis. Yep. You know, you're playing for gold plans, a chance to go to Indy. Michigan needs some help to get to Indy. And then for Georgia and Georgia Tech, the ACC is a mess. Oof. But, you know, Georgia looks like the best team in the SEC right now. Texas A&M. If Texas beats A&M, do they get an argument with 3 losses? How high can they climb? What results are going to happen in front of them? How's the Big 12 going to play out? You know, with BYU, Texas Tech, and Utah. I don't think Utah has a shot to move up. Miami sitting in no man's land. They don't have a path to the ACC championship game mathematically. Can they get in as an at-large team? There's a lot in front of some of these teams like Michigan and USC that are trying to get into that playoff, Miami as well.
And you look at it, too, with Miami and Notre Dame. Those are the 2 teams that you really got to look at because the head-to-head is there from week 1.
Right.
Miami beat Notre Dame week 1, but however, if you look at it right now, if Miami played Notre Dame right now, give me the Irish. Like, give me the Irish. Give me Jeremiah Love, C.J. Carr, and the Irish. Because I think they're just playing better football than Miami. But however, if you're on the committee and you're looking at that, you're like, you have to put that into a factor. However, it's whoever the number 1 seed is might get, you know, a little disadvantage because right now Notre Dame looks like one of those teams that you don't want to play right now. Marcus Freeman's got that team playing really well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. With Notre Dame, I think they're playing excellent football, and with this head-to-head argument with Miami, they're not giving the committee a chance to make head-to-head matter because they're not being evaluated in the same cluster or in the same group of teams. That is what is keeping Notre Dame ranked where they are. Miami has to figure out a way, either by teams losing, they do need some help, but by playing really good football and hoping Notre Dame struggles a little bit, they've got to find some way to get evaluated in that same cluster to make that head-to-head result matter more. Because they are trending in opposite directions they were through October, and then here in November, Miami's starting to get it together, but Notre Dame is one of the hottest teams in the country, there's no doubt. They were up 21-0 on Syracuse without registering an offensive statistic.
Yeah. I mean, what do we call the ACC? What do I call it? Another crappy conference. I mean, let's be honest. Like, the ACC looked really well at the beginning, and then all of a sudden hit that ACC plateau. You had the big upset with Florida State and against Alabama in the year. The one game we haven't mentioned is Auburn and Alabama, the Iron Bowl. There's no playoff implications there. There's only an SEC title matchup for Alabama. But if Alabama loses to Auburn, they're out of the playoffs. So there is a little bit of an implication there. But I don't think the Crimson Tide will have a problem with the Tigers.
Yeah, it doesn't go both ways in terms of the implications, but it definitely matters for Alabama because they need to win out to get into the playoff, in my opinion.
Absolutely. But again, the game this weekend, Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt, Jenny Taft, Michigan, that team up north fans on Twitter, they've been kind of speaking a lot. They've actually been screenshotting the Weather Channel and saying there could be snow flurries and all kinds of stuff. But let's be real. I think you see a confident Buckeye fan group, but they're not being vocal right now because there is that nervous anxiousness with the Ryan Day. He's lost 4 straight. But it's nothing but talk between that team up north fans, and it's more than usual because they got it in their mind. Yes, we are the number 1 team in the country. We look by far better than anybody in the country, but they got that in their mind where we beat them last year 13-10 at their house, even though they went on to win the national championship. It kind of makes you think that they think the game is more than the national championship, where Buckeye fans, after we won the national championship, said, Well, the national championship means more than this game, but right now, as Caden Curry said, I think I got something special ready because, in all honesty, last week he probably should have scored that touchdown against Caden Curry if we reviewed it.
Yeah, and this is what's really special about this game this year. Ohio State doesn't have a player that beat Michigan. Michigan doesn't have a player that lost to Ohio State. Which group is going to change that on Saturday? That's the big deal.
All right, we got to go pay some bills, and speaking of bills, we got to pay Fairfield Federal right here on the Silver Bulletin Live right here on the Fairfield County Sports Network. I'm Josh with Blake Biscardi. Coming up next, we got a Big Ten champion coming on here.
This is Carrie James with Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan. We offer checking, savings, and certificate of deposit accounts that fit your needs so your money can grow. More information about our bank can be found at our 2 locations in Lancaster and 1 in Pickerington, or our website is available 24 hours a day. Fairfield Federal, checking, savings, and home loans, banking that revolves around you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 402612. Fairfield Federal is a proud sponsor of Community Christian Radio.
Schaffner's Drive-In is the sponsor of the student athletes covered here on the Fairfield County Sports Network. Schaffner's is located at 601 West Market Street in Baltimore. They feature curly fries, foot-long hot dogs, and amazing milkshakes. They also offer things like fishtail and ham and cheese sandwiches, chicken, burgers, and all kinds of sides. You can enjoy some smooth, tasty ice cream cones, sundaes, flurries, and more. They are open from 10:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., 7 days a week. Thank you, Schaffner's Drive-In, for sponsoring the Fairfield County Sports Network.
Welcome back to TSB Live, right here at Hoggy's 830 Bethel Road in Columbus, Ohio. Branden Bowen joining us live on the set. Branden, welcome to TSB Live. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me.
We're really excited, Branden. This is Rivalry Week. It's the biggest in sports. This game is the biggest in sports.
Absolutely.
Talk to us about this. What is this week like as a player? We're going to start high right off the top.
It means everything to you as a player. I mean, I had this conversation today with somebody about, would you rather, the big question, would you rather take a national championship or would you rather beat the team up north? And I will die on the hill of I would much rather beat the team up north than win a national championship. I've had a lot of questions from people of like what's going on and like I have no idea. I can't really relate because I've never lost to them, and it means that much to us. I know it means that much to the players now, and I mean it's everything. This week Coach Mick, everybody, it's everything.
And it starts with Sunday, morning, going around campus. So you saw Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles, 2 of the captains that they posted live, going around marking those X's. As a player on campus, walking around campus with fellow students, what was it like crossing all those M's? And how, did you ever take count on how many M's there were?
So I never took count because I have to say there's way more than you could ever count. But I mean, as a player who came into this having no idea anything about this rivalry, I mean, you walk around, you see the X's, you don't really understand the meaning at first, but then you start to learn. And I mean, even myself, I have a little roll of red tape that I take to the hospital with me. So I work at Ohio State University Wexner now, and all the M's over there, I try to get them as I'm over there when I have my free time still. And it's good.
You've played in a lot of these games. What is your top memory from the game?
Top memory from the game has to be 2016 when we won in double overtime. Watching Curtis Samuel run the ball through the end zone and spread his arms out and leap into the air, seeing my teammates go crazy, knowing how much that moment meant to them and how much work went into that one single play. I mean, that moment was second to none for sure.
That's also my favorite moment. That was actually my last game as a student.
Nice.
Great way to go out.
Nice.
Branden, walk us through the huddle in that moment. What was it like for you guys leading up in the second overtime, leading to that play, that third down? Curtis Samuel running back and forth finally gets to the yard.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was too hyped. It was. Coach Meyer was always big on do your job.
Right.
Do your job. Everybody, if all 11 players do their job and the coaches are doing their job, then I mean, we know what we had. We knew what we could do, and I think it was just a matter of putting it into effect.
Yeah.
What JT Barrett? During that week, the guy is a Buckeye legend, probably the greatest quarterback ever to suit up for the Scarlet and Gray. What was he like during this week?
Laser focused. That's what that's how Coach Meyer would describe it. That's how I describe it. Is you couldn't take his eyes off this game, and more so you couldn't take him away from us and making it important to us. Like he led us into that game. I've seen it all over Twitter recently. I mean, he's the best leader I have ever been around.
How much did it kill him in 2017 when he went down? But knowing you had the young Dwayne Haskins come in, because it had to kill JT Barrett in 2017.
Absolutely. And I definitely know that it hurt him to have to come out of that game, but I also know that he was confident in Dwayne, and I think we all knew what Dwayne was going to do once he got into that game. So,
you've obviously been in Ann Arbor. Can you take us through what it's going to be like for the players coming through that tunnel where both locker rooms see each other? Can you just describe that, what it's like to us? Because I know this weekend it's going to get chippy.
Absolutely.
What is it going to be like?
I would just say just know you're walking into hostile territory. It's going to be crazy. I mean, it's everybody hates you, and just as much as we hate them, and I'm not afraid to say that because, yes, it's a rivalry, but it's a rivalry, and this is what we do. Just get ready to, don't let the lights be too big for you, and just buckle your chin strap up and go to work. Do what you always do.
Absolutely. Well, we got, go ahead, Blake.
We've got Kyle Turner. He's the owner of Hoggy's right now. He's bringing over some food that we're going to try here at the restaurant. They got a smorgasbord going on. We've got wings, we've got some sides, and then we're going to welcome Kyle to the show here for a minute.
You guys are trying to get me back to playing weight.
It's true.
How we doing?
Doing well, Kyle. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hosting us tonight, first of all.
My pleasure. This is really fun. Yeah.
It's a great time. Kyle, walk us through, what we have here in front of us, spread-wise, and then tell us a little bit about the restaurant and Hoggy's.
Yeah, so we do run out of food as a barbecue restaurant because we want to be as fresh every day. I don't know if people know, but it's about 6:30 right now, so we do run out of brisket stuff, but we've got our smoked and fried wings. They're like kind of marinated for 24 hours, and they're smoked for 3 hours, and they're fried in beef tallow. Then we've got a bunch of different sauces, so you have one of every sauce except for the 3 Mile Island, because I didn't want you guys to ruin your show. It's known as the hottest sauce in Columbus. We grow our own peppers during the summer, and then we harvest them and everything. Then we have all our sides there. My grandmother's mac and cheese recipe, cheesy potatoes, because my wife is gluten-free, and I had to, give her something cheesy to be able to eat. Our potato salad, which is my personal favorite, green beans, a 3-bean baked bean, a Caesar coleslaw, and a broccoli salad, which, you guys, the sauces on there, we've got some sweet sauces, sweet and spicy, we've got some savory, it's a little bit of a plethora.
Oh, that sounds good, guys. Let's dig in a little bit here, and let's do a little bit of a review here live.
Oh, yeah.
I think Dan would have tried that hot, spicy one.
Dan still can. We've got a T-shirt here to give away if he can get through that challenge. Let's do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love rooster
man.
wings, but these might be number one on my book right here.
No, these are the best wings in Columbus, in my opinion. I've been eating Hoggy's for a long time, and then, Kyle's got a lot of great food going on here. Hoggy's is an incredible joint. These wings are juicy. They're cooked well. Kyle, what sauce do I have in front of me right here on this far side?
I believe that is the Jamaican Me Crazy, which is our most popular sauce.
Yeah.
Sometimes the colors get a little mixed in, so we get a nice crust on the outside. But the 2 darker ones are going to be either the Kentucky Bourbon and Sweet Cincinnati, which are like sweet sauces. We've got a Hog Fire, which is that one closest to Brandon. Then we've got a Carolina Garlic, which is a fancy honey mustard. And then our Columbus Original, which if you've been around with Hoggy's, we've had since the beginning.
Absolutely.
Right.
Man, they are delicious.
They are delicious.
They are so
Thank
good.
you.
I'm going to get out a napkin, and then we're going to get into these sides. Kyle, tell us about how you got into the restaurant business, and then a little bit more about Hoggy's.
Yeah, so Hoggy's was started in 1991. If you were around the area of Columbus, they had like 11 locations. And then around the recession in 2008, they actually closed them. We came to this one location. I left college with a degree in economics with no intention of getting in the restaurant industry. And my dad asked me for some help, and I decided I would help him, and I had no idea what I was getting into. But in the last couple of years, we got rated by Daniel Bond, who's like the guy who does the Texas Monthly Award, one of the 75 best barbecue restaurants outside of Texas. And we like just making really high quality food.
I can attest. No, it's.
And I got is this like a broccoli salad right here?
Yeah.
I might be the only person in my family that just absolutely loves broccoli and eats broccoli every day. So
I'm a big fan of broccoli too. I've got the cheesy potatoes in front of me, Kyle, and they're outstanding.
Those are my wife's favorite.
Yeah, no, these are a 9.5 out of 10. These are
Thank you.
outstanding, and that's on the Dave Portnoy scale for those of us wondering. We got just make sure we're clarifying here that's outstanding. Kyle, Ohio State is playing Michigan on Saturday. Okay, so the last couple of years, Michigan's won 4 straight. They did not play in 2020. So Ryan Day is 1-4. He won in 2019. Brandon knows something about that. And then the last 4 years of this toughness battle with the running game. That's what's been the big thing for Ohio State, not playing Ohio State football. You know, they've tried to make the game about toughness in the running game and saying, we're going to run the ball up the middle and we're going to be tougher, in quotes, than Michigan is. This year, though, Ryan Day's message has been, it's been about us. We're going to play Ohio State football. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, their health is in question. We expect Jeremiah Smith to play. But when you're looking at this game, it's going to Ann Arbor. What's your score prediction on Saturday?
So since I moved in with my wife is from Detroit, Michigan. They have lost every game, which has been awkward in the household. So 35-14, Ohio State better bring it back this year.
I like it.
Yeah.
You guys heard it here first. That's the first prediction of the show. Again, this is Kyle Turner, owner of Hoggy's. Kyle, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the food. We're going to continue to dig into this, and we're going to go right back to Cassinger.
yeah, absolutely. We're going to pay some more bills and pay a bill to Frankie Smith Funeral, and then talk to Branden Bowen a little bit more, and maybe talk a little bit about that 2019 game with the transition of Urban Meyer and Ryan Day. We are right here on the Fairfield County Sports Network. This is the Silver Bulletin Live.
Through the Frankie Smith Funeral Home in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore, the Smith family has been serving the needs of Fairfield County and Central Ohio since 1889. We offer complete pre-need guidance, an on-site crematory, custom-designed monuments, and bronze memorials. Our staff of caring professionals can assist you before, during, and after your time of need. Frankie Smith Funeral Homes, respect for tradition, regard for change.
Buckeye Lake Marina is a full-service marina offering new and used boats for sale. Brands like Bennington, Crown Line, South Bay, and Chaparral. They also do boat service, canvas repair, and custom boat covers, and they sell ethanol-free recreational fuel. Located in Millersport at 2920 Canal Drive, 740-467-2697. Online at BuckeyeLakeMarina.com.
We are back on TSB Live at Hoggy's here on Bethel Road in Columbus. Branden Bowen, former Ohio State offensive lineman, joining us. Jack Johnson up here in just a couple of moments. Branden, let's come right back into this game talk. All right, we've got Ohio State, Michigan on Saturday. We're going to talk about the 2019 game in a minute. What makes the game different than any other in college football? What makes this rivalry bigger than all the others?
Oh, man. I would just say the history behind it. I mean, there's so much history. We went into this week watching videos of all the past games, all the past moments, all the history behind it, all the different coaches, the different great players. There's so much that has come into this game. You don't want to. It's one of those things that you don't want to dishonor the game through not taking this serious. And at the same time, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know how the rivalry started, but I mean, it's full bore now, and we there's just a lot of hatred there.
Do you know how the gold pants got started though?
I do. I know the story of, I can't remember exactly which coach it was. I want to say it was Woody Hayes who
Francis E. Schmidt.
Who put the one leg
gold pants on one leg at a time.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Urban used to tell us that every year. He used to teach us in the Sunday before the Team Up North game, right after we used to play with the band and do the whole dotting the O and all that. So
I wrote an article this week that's going to be released tomorrow on the Silver Bulletin about the history of the game, and I told Blake this morning, I was like, hey, the research paper is done. It was like, it's that big of an article that I dug a deep dive in, so check that out tomorrow. I pulled a quote from our Dan and I's podcast from 2020 when we interviewed Jamie Sumner, who was the JUCO transfer in 1994. He talked about how he didn't come to Ohio State to play Michigan State. to play Purdue, to play Northwestern. He came to play in the game. So, and he talked about they upset in 94, they beat Michigan for the first time in a long time. And then 95, they were perennial national championship favorites. Tim Biaka-Batuka decided to go off for 313 yards in that game. For you've got 5 pair of gold pants.
Absolutely.
And you talked about 2016, your freshman year, being your favorite. Talk about what it meant to you. Obviously, you didn't choose Ohio State to play Northwestern,
right?
Even though you got to play them in a Big Ten championship, but you chose to play in that game. And how juiced were you going into that game every year?
I was massively juiced, and I'd say it just got bigger and bigger and bigger every single year. The more I was at Ohio State, the more I was here in the state of Ohio, interacting with people, interacting with fans, and getting to know the history of the game. I really started to understand what this game meant to not only just us as players and as a team, but to the entire state of Ohio. And I think with that, you start to understand why this game is so serious and kind of why we go to do what we do and why this game, at least my opinion, is bigger than a national championship.
Throughout the game's history, we've seen, legends be born. For the other side, the Charles Woodson, the Heisman pose. That's ingrained in our memory. We have, JT Barrett, spots good, gets the first down. We saw 2018 Chris Olave came out of nowhere, just monster performance, and basically that sent him on a trajectory. Now he's playing for the Saints and he's amazing. Not putting you on the spot, but this year, if you had to make a prediction, who do you think from this team could potentially be that person to stamp their name in history for Ohio State?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would have to. My quick answer would have to be, I hope for Kenyatta Jackson. To be honest with you, he's a great player, and I think he has a great chance to get after Bryce Underwood, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest things is getting a young. I think he's a great quarterback. Sure, team of North Week, all that. He's a great quarterback, but I think he's young, and I think you can frazzle him quick, and I think. I think that's going to be one of the biggest keys to the game.
We've never seen a freshman like him before.
Never, ever.
Another one I kind of think of is Devin Sanchez. He got burnt big time against UCLA, and a lot of fans were like, "Oh, this was a 5-star." And I look back, Olave was a freshman, Garrett Wilson was a freshman, and then you look at Devin Sanchez, a true freshman. He could be in that mix as well, I think.
Absolutely. We talked about it all year. Competitive excellence, next guy up, and trusting the program, trusting what Coach Mick and Coach Day have going on over there. I have no doubts in him. I think he'll come back and make a name for himself.
You were obviously a lineman. From a technical point, Michigan, they lost Mason Graham. They still have Barnum, the transfer.
Right.
Do you think this offensive line this year has a better chance to get a push than years past, or does anything stand out to you about this Michigan defensive line?
No, I wouldn't say anything stands out to me. I honestly think I think with Coach Day saying some of the things he said, I think them getting back to their game is going to be the biggest difference. I think them getting back to not being afraid to pass the ball. Yes, offensive lineman at heart, I want to run the ball down their throats. That's all I wanted to do when I played, and I'm sure that's all they still want to do. Might not be the smartest thing to do because that's what everyone knows is going to happen. And when you have the receiving core that you do and you have the quarterback that you do, why would you not throw the ball?
I agree.
Brandon, why is the running game so important in this matchup in particular? And then as an offensive lineman, what is your guys' mindset as a unit heading into a matchup like this?
So I'd say it's all about the mental game of it more than anything. You can physically wear down guys, but once you get to that third quarter, that fourth quarter, and you start to look across the line and see I have been physically dominating, and on the other side, I have been physically dominated, it just does something to somebody, and that's why you see, I would say more so in Ohio State's past teams where we've been so run-heavy, those third and fourth quarters we start to make those big breaks on runs and getting these 40, 50, 60-yard gains is because we just worn down the defense throughout the game.
Right.
In 2019, everybody talks about in 2021 that Aiden Hutchinson's memorable moment is just throwing Thayer Mumford everywhere. But I think as Buckeye fans, we remember Aiden Hutchinson trying to untie J.K. Dobbins' shoe in the 2019 game. As a lineman, seeing that, what were you looking at when Aiden Hutchinson was doing that?
So I didn't even know that happened until we got over to the side, until I think the timeout when they told him he had to come off the field, because I went to go help. I helped him up, and then I went over and I was like, wait, they untied his shoe, like what? And he was telling us like, oh no, they untied my shoe. I'm like, what are you talking about? They pulled my shoe off. What? I'm like, I guess they'll do anything to try to stop this run game. And JK at that point was doing his thing, so it was
4 touchdowns in that game and over 200 yards.
Yeah, no kidding.
JK Dobbins like, hey, that's what you get for trying to take my shoe off.
Absolutely.
And we had the Justin Fields, like the memorable, he hurt his knee, comes back in, delivers
slings a touchdown.
Strike, just so memorable.
Incredible.
It was just such a great performance from Fields and the team. Do you think it's fair that Michigan fans are counting the 2020 season as, Ohio State hasn't beaten us in this many days, and they add the 2020 on?
Not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
I think
in 2020 they knew what was coming to them, and they took a little bow out.
Thank you.
Harbaugh gets fired after that.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I agree.
Jim Harbaugh is fired.
I agree. 100%.
I think they practiced on that Sunday, if I remember correctly. It was like, oh, we can't play Saturday. Then all of a sudden you see practice on Sunday. You're like, I'm sorry, guys, what's going on
it's
here?
COVID, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, too. Like, it's just a crazy time we've been in. Like, since COVID, we have not beat them. And it's just like, I tell Dan all the time on the Bunch of Nuts podcast, it's like, when we go off air, it's like, we want to beat them so bad because I miss talking smack to them. And it's just hard. We reached over 7,000 followers on our podcast Twitter page this week, and it's just like we've trolled them so much in the last couple years for the cheating scandal and stuff. But this time, we just want to talk smack about the play on the field.
For sure.
Life was so much more simple when it was the Clemson fans in our mentions. Right?
Absolutely. Much more simple. I don't really have an answer to a lot of people when I talk to them now, but I will after the show.
You just have to wait. Going into this game, Brandon, it's like, what makes you think this would be the year that the tide turns back? When just matchup-wise, not saying you're guaranteeing anything, nothing like that, but when you look at matchups for Ohio State, like what do you think Ohio State can do against Michigan differently this year to find success?
I think now that they've run the I guess been through it all. They've won a national championship. They've been to that biggest stage. I think they have the formula for success. I think it's now just making sure that this game doesn't feel too big. And as much as I used to hate when the Team of North players used to say this is another game, I think there is an aspect of it that you have to treat it as that. At this point where it's, we have this many losses, we're so paranoid about winning, don't make it into too big of a thing. Just play your game, do what you know the entire country knows you can do, and win the game.
Yeah, and Ryan Day's talked a lot this year about keeping it as routine as possible. This week, that's why he moved the band tradition. And, a lot of people are up in arms about it, but you're right. Like, you have to make everything as routine as possible.
Love the
you don't want to make it, right. Exactly. You don't want to make it larger than life, even though it is larger than life.
Right.
But you have to keep yourself in a routine. And as a player, how important is a routine for you guys every single week? And why is Coach Day publicly saying that? To people who may not understand it, like, why is he doing that? Just help calm everyone's nerves here. As a player, why do you like that?
I think your routine's everything. I've had a routine for every little piece of my life leading up to this moment now. I think keeping it the same, and I had to, like, even small things where it's you have to have the same head. I have to have a headband on. I have to get ready the exact same way. I have to do my little Thursday practice routine the exact same every week. Those things just help get you into that zone and help. You can't be. People talk about flipping a switch. You can't be on all the time, and so it's getting yourself into that routine and getting to that peak of game time, whether it's 12 p.m., 3:30 p.m. And once you get there, you're at your peak. You've gone through your routine to get to that peak performance.
I'm all about routines, and you can ask these two guys, including my wife out here in the crowd. When I go to the shoe for every Saturday for the game, I have to do the same thing. I have to watch the team walk. I have to have my 5 boneless barbecue wings from Roosters. I have to be inside the stadium at a certain time, and I have to send my video to Dan to post on it. As a fan, I'm routine. I have to wear the same socks, the same shoes. So even on the Michigan week Saturday, I have to do the same things.
Absolutely.
Like wear the same things. I'm very superstitious even as a fan. But that's why I brought that up. And you also bring up, you played with J.T. Barrett, Dwayne Haskins, and Justin Fields.
Yeah. Played with some cats.
Probably the top 10, maybe top 5 quarterbacks of all time.
And Joe Burrow.
And Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, yeah.
Joe Burrow, too. Each of them had a different leadership wise. It seemed like JT was that vocal, hype-up guy, and then you had the Dwayne Haskins, that, God rest his soul, that smile on his face, and then Justin Fields is that big chin, I'm a man, man attitude, especially that Clemson game when he just got drilled in the back. Talk about them three during this week. I know Justin only got one chance at him, but the three different aspects of them in their leadership. You talk about JT, but talk about Dwayne and Justin's.
So Dwayne was more of a lead by example. You know, he wasn't the most. He was vocal, but he wasn't the most vocal leader. He kind of just he led by his play. You know, he was able to teach us. I'm sorry. And then Justin as well. He was more of a vocal leader, but he didn't really understand the game that much at that point in time, to be honest. So it was a lot of. I talk about my senior year in terms of it was a lot of the offensive line kind of teaching Justin how to play Ohio State football.
Do you think that kind of helped him a little bit? Like maybe not understanding how big the game, because with the other quarterbacks, I feel like with Stroud, Will Howard, they like, I feel like it almost put pressure on them. Do you think it kind of worked the opposite with Fields there?
Yeah, I would think so, for sure.
Last thing, Brandon, just as we're going to close out this segment right here, you're talking about the offensive line, Justin Fields, 2019. What made that game special to you? I know it's your senior year. You know, why did that game mean so much to you? Like, it's the last time you're playing them.
Yeah, it was my senior year. It was. I can't remember at the time if our Big Ten hopes were in the air at that point. I don't think they were. But also, I'd never played in the team in up there. I'd never played in their stadium before, so that was a big deal for me. It was a big deal to go up there, to get that win, to bring it home to Columbus, and then to continue on to what my ultimate goal was, which is the Big Ten championship.
Right.
Was it louder than Happy Valley or what?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
2000. No, I think my loudest game I ever played in was 2016 Penn State. For sure.
Yeah, Brandon, so thank you for joining us on this top segment. So we're going to move here to a commercial break. We're going to bring on Coach Jack Johnson, and then we'll have Brandon back on after that segment. So, again, we're going to pay some bills. Quick commercial, and Coach Jack Johnson coming up right next.
Sounds great.
Kings Grand Central in Rushville is a proud sponsor of the student athletes covered here on the Fairfield County Sports Network. They are located at 8340 Main Street in Rushville, Ohio. Kings Grand Central in Rushville has a passion for pizza and pasta and so much more. They have dine-in and carry-out available. They are open from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Tuesday to Thursday and 3 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and closed on Sunday and Monday. You can order online by going to kingsgrandcentral.com or by calling 740-240-1044. Thank you, Kings Grand Central in Rushville, for sponsoring the Fairfield County Sports Network.
Hi, this is Carrie James with Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan. We offer checking, savings, and certificate of deposit accounts that fit your needs so your money can grow. More information about our bank can be found at our 2 locations in Lancaster and 1 in Pickerington, or our website is available 24 hours a day. Fairfield Federal, checking, savings, and home loans, banking that revolves around you. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS number 402612. Fairfield Federal is a proud sponsor of Community Christian Radio.
Welcome back to TSB Live here. We have got Coach Jack Johnson joining us right now on set. Coach, welcome to TSB Live. Thank you for being here. Rivalry week. This is a big week.
Oh, yeah. Great week. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're very excited, Coach. So you've got Woody Hayes and Jim Tressel. You have been around both of those guys. You coached in this game. Coach, what does Rivalry week mean to you?
It means everything. The whole atmosphere around Ohio State changes. Coaches change. Everything is just absolutely turned to another notch.
Coach, why does it turn to another notch? You know, this rivalry is the biggest one in sports. Why does it turn up to a notch to that level specifically for this game and this week? And we know it doesn't start with this week. It's not just all of a sudden Sunday, you know, we have 6 days to the game. It's 24/7, 365.
Well, this game is a little bit different than any other game, and it has nothing to do with skill and talent. Both teams are very, very skillful, coached well. The talent's there. It's all about a heart check and how the team can stay focused on what their responsibilities are. And this week, sometimes, with all the hoopla that's going around, sometimes the players lose focus. As coaches, especially as strength coaches, our job was to make sure that they stay focused on their job and what they're supposed to be doing and not get involved with all these other things that's going on.
Jim Tressel was 7-1 in this game. You know, legendary coach. Believe it or not, Jim Tressel is the first coach that actually had me crying after the end of an Ohio State game. I was a freshman in high school when we beat Michigan. Because that 14-9 game was so unbelievably good. You had a great freshman running back in Maurice Claret that year. Talk about Jim Tressel during this week for the game and his intensity.
He's a unique coach. I've been around coaching and a lot of great coaches, but Coach Tressel is a different coach. He's a coach that really gets into knowing the kids and really focuses on kids, and he's concerned more about the character of the kids sometimes. A lot of coaches get all involved with the excitement of the game and making sure that the kids are in the right spot at the right time. Tressel was concerned about the character and how they conducted themselves and how they played at a high level. And I was always impressed with how he got kids ready to do their job and to play at 100%, without letting down. So I was really impressed with how he approached this week, making sure that the kids are ready to go.
For the game itself, it means so much to, obviously, Ohioans, people from Michigan. How would you go about, preparing the athletes that were not from Ohio or Michigan? Just like if they were from New Jersey or Texas or Florida, how would you make it, so that they were aware how big the game is today?
Well, we had a countdown clock, and it's still there. In the weight room, every time they walk into that weight room, you can see the hours, days, and minutes before the next Michigan game. We look at that every time we walk into the weight room. Those kids see that. So that game is so built up in the kids, and everything that they do goes towards that game and making sure that they are doing their job and making sure that they're ready to play the game. One of the things that we as coaches, and Tressel did the same thing, we always realized that most games are never won, they're lost. There's a mistake that's made, a kid is out of position, he forgets to do his assignment, and they take advantage of it and you lose the ball game. Most games are lost but never won. So we wanted to make sure that we cut down on all mistakes. Make sure you do your job and make sure you focused on your responsibilities.
Coach, you're talking about character with Coach Tressel and how important that was to you guys as a staff. And we know that character is something that plays into culture. Talk about the team culture at Ohio State when Coach Tressel is there with you and what it was like, especially into this week, and why it's so important when you're heading into a big game like this.
Coach Tressel's a little bit different in that he made our coaching staff know everything about the kid. When I was coaching at Pickerington for all those years, what we did there is we had a motto that we always touched the heart before we reached for the hand. That same attitude, Tressel magnified it. Tressel made sure that all the coaching staff knew all about the players. They wanted to make a personal contact with the players, know where they come from, the school that they played for in high school, making sure that they know, all coaches knew everything about their family, what really, really motivated that kid. And he made it, it was quite challenging. We had to learn every kid's name, what position he played in high school, what high school he went to, his hometown, know his parents, and he quizzed us on that. So I never passed the test. We had 105 guys on the team, and I could never pass that test. But he told us that we need to know everything about that kid. And once we made a personal contact with the kid, that kid will play for you much harder than just as an athlete. And he emphasized that. And I thought that was one of the character qualities of Tressel that a lot of coaches just don't have.
We just recently lost a Buckeye legend who played under you a couple weeks ago, played under Tressel. He was an ultimate leader. Nick Mangold, when you coached him as a freshman and sophomore, what was he like as a young pup before we knew him as the All-American he was?
Nick was wonderful. His whole family was there all the time. He worked hard. He was just a quality guy. Everybody loved Nick, especially with his hairdo. Nick had so much hair. It was unbelievable, but he was just a great guy. I remember we had a session we had a camp for all high school kids. Nick's sister showed up at this camp, and a lot of people just don't know this, but Nick's sister was about 230, and she was 6 foot. And we had 100 kids at this camp, and Nick's sister, we had a weightlifting contest for all the kids at the camp. She won that weightlifting contest. Nick's sister was just absolutely a wonderful. He also had a handicapped child, sister, and she was just wonderful too. Nick was a quality guy, and we certainly miss him.
Was he the influence on AJ and Bobby to grow their hair?
Oh, I would think. Bobby and AJ
and Schlegel.
They're a whole different breed, those guys. I know in the weight room, I couldn't get them out of the weight room. AJ Hawk, Bobby Carpenter, and Schlegel, I couldn't get them out of the weight room. They had 8 o'clock classes, and I showed up and opened the weight room at 6 o'clock for guys that had 8 o'clock classes. I had to kick them out of the weight room, and they missed half of their 8 o'clock classes. They would lift all day if I let them in there, and but boy, they were absolutely great kids.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. In the weight room, who was pound for pound the strongest Buckeye you've ever seen?
Believe it or not, Maurice Claret.
Wow. Okay, I was going to guess.
And I could never get him in the weight room. He skipped weightlifting, and Tressel was always calling me. He said, "You got to get him in the weight room." I said, "Coach, I can't even find him, let alone get him in the weight room." But when he came in, did not warm up, walked in. He wouldn't get in a group. He just walked in and decided he wanted bench press. I watched him come into the weight room cold and take 225 and put it up 30 times. I have never seen a kid pound for pound as strong as he was.
That's insane.
I don't think Sean Taylor either. Remember Sean Taylor in the national championship game as well.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Great athlete. Great athlete.
For the game, or just in general, what was your most essential lift that you would have the athletes doing? And did you ever see like it specifically translate over into the game?
We never had one particular lift that we did. We emphasized not only just strength, but to be able to do it for a long period of time. The average play lasts about 6 seconds. So we wanted the kid to be able to explode as hard and as quick as he can for 6 seconds. So we did a lot of reps, but we did them with a lot of explosion as well. Bench press and squats were very good, but flexibility is what we really emphasized more so than strength. But we had some guys that are pretty stout.
Coach, I want to go back to what you were saying about Maurice Claret. And we know another Buckeye you have some funny stories with is Troy Smith. He's a legend at Ohio State. I already see the expression on your face. He's also a legend in the game, in this rivalry. You know, winning the Heisman Trophy in 2006, the most fabled matchup.
His son's named after him.
Exactly.
Yeah, my son's really named Troy Smith.
Yes. Coach, tell us about the Heisman winner.
Well, Troy played at Cleveland Glenville. When I was coaching at Pickerington, we played Glenville twice. We always played in the first ball game because, you know, they pulled kids all over to Cleveland, and they played erratic the first ball game. But as the season went on, they learned to play together, and they got pretty tough down the stretch. But Troy Smith and some of the other guys that were up there, we played against. Troy came down to Picktown, and I remember we beat Troy his senior year, and when Troy then went to Ohio State, I was up to Ohio State when he was up there, and Troy constantly ribbed me about that ball game and said we lucked out in beating them, and so it was really a joke. But Troy was a kid as a quarterback. He saw the whole field. It's almost like Michael Vick. He saw the whole field. He never went in progressions, and that just drove our quarterback coach just up the wall, because Troy would not go through progressions. Troy saw the whole field, and he just threw to the open man. And they had fight after fight after fight on, and Troy not reading his routes and not reading the defenses, and Troy could never get that. He just threw to the open man, and of course that got him a Heisman Trophy. Troy was extremely efficient when it came to finding that open receiver, but he was quite the jokester on our team, and quite a player.
It didn't help that he had two guys that could run 4.2 40 and full pads either. So.
Absolutely, he had some pretty good receivers as well. But Troy was. I remember when he won the Heisman Trophy. My wife Pam and I, we were in the weight room when he came back, and when we walked into Woody, we looked down at the other end, and here came Troy, and Pam asking me, "What's that around his neck?" And closer to us, Troy had this big S hanging on his neck. That S looked like as big as Superman, but it was all diamonds. And he had a big bracelet full of diamonds, and I mean he was all tricked out, and got up to us, and Pam says, "Are you afraid that somebody's going to take that bling off of you?" And Troy said, "Well, this is my second set. My real set is back in the safe." But Troy was an excellent quarterback.
Speaking of Heisman quarterbacks, Ohio State has a potential Heisman candidate in Julian Say. And just when you watch watch him play, what stands out to you?
Oh, his release, his quick release, and how he can find open receivers.
Basically the opposite of Troy.
Absolutely, absolutely. He goes through progressions, and I'm telling you, and he goes through them so fast, and he's able to pull the trigger. I have not seen a kid be able to throw a quick release that deep with that amount of emphasis on the ball. It's just, his accuracy is just unbelievable.
It's special when me and Blake, we went to the Texas game, and we were sitting, row Q, I don't know, C deck. We were up there, and it was apparent how accurate he was.
Oh, unbelievable.
Sitting all the way up there, and then how quickly he was going through his reads. It was really impressive.
Yeah, and Coach, we're talking about the game here, but we want to transition right after this quick commercial break to talk about your new book, Champion in Life, that just came out. We're going to tell everybody how they can get their hands on a copy of it. We're going to deep dive that and what inspired you to write the book. You're going to tell us a little bit what's in it. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come right back and talk about Champion in Life. Again, guys, this is TSB Live at Hoggy's on Bethel Road in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, it is dessert time. We got to pay our bills to Schaffner's Ice Cream. Go to in Baltimore, Ohio. We are live from Hoggy's right here, 830 Bethel Road, basically near campus.
Schaffner's Drive-In is a sponsor of the student athletes covered here on the Fairfield County Sports Network. Schaffner's is located at 601 West Market Street in Baltimore. They feature curly fries, foot-long hot dogs, and amazing milkshakes. They also offer things like fishtail and ham and cheese sandwiches, chicken, burgers, and all kinds of sides. You can enjoy some smooth, tasty ice cream cones, sundaes, flurries, and more. They are open from 10:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., 7 days a week. Thank you, Schaffner's Drive-In, for sponsoring the Fairfield County Sports Network.
Through the Frankie Smith Funeral Home in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore, the Smith family has been serving the needs of Fairfield County and Central Ohio since 1889. We offer complete pre-need guidance, an on-site crematory, custom-designed monuments, and bronze memorials. Our staff of caring professionals can assist you before, during, and after your time of need. Frankie Smith Funeral Homes, respect for tradition, regard for change.
I'll just right over next to me.
Hey, we're back here at Hoggy's right here in 830 Bethel Road. I'm Josh Cassinger with Blake Biscardi and my partner in crime on the Bunch Nuts podcast, Dan Smith. We're with Coach Jack Johnson and Blake. Coach Jack Johnson just wrote a book, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. Guys, this is Coach Johnson's new book. It's called Champion in Life. Coach, first of all, congratulations on getting this book released. I know this is a power-packed book, Life Lessons for Becoming a Winner. Coach Tressel did the foreword to this. I know this is very special to you. What inspired you to write this book, Champion in Life?
I guess it all started with me collecting a lot of quotes. I collected quotes, and I used those quotes a lot of times in my coaching. I had the Bible study group looked at these quotes and thought you ought to have a book with those. And I said, well, I am not a book writer. I'm questionable being a coach, let alone writing a book. But these quotes then led my care group and Bible study group to come up with maybe some stories that matched those quotes. I did, and then I shared those stories with your dad. Dominic looked at these quotes and the stories and said, this deserves a book. So we then started talking about the stories and how we come about the stories, and that's how the book started. That was 2.5 years ago. He convinced me that maybe we ought to make a book.
So, Coach, what is in this book, and who is this book for?
The book is for anybody that is struggling in life, anybody that seems to have lost hope, anybody who is getting beat up in life, somebody who is discouraged, and they question, why in the world am I here? This book is for somebody who wants to turn their life around, somebody who wants to realize that God has created them for a purpose and there's a reason for them to be here. God did not make us to be average. He made us to be champions. He's given us a purpose and a reason for living. So it's for those people that are tired of being beaten up in life and wants to find some way to get out. One of the quotes that I had was from a person who said that I have lived. I lived for 70 some years and found myself never having lived. And that what we think there, that he was talking about never fulfilling a bucket list. But that's not what he was talking about. He was talking about living a life of significance. And how do we do that? Well, this book tells you a little bit of how to live a life of significance. When you do something that is meaningful and uplifting to somebody else, you have just done something eternal. That book gives you some ideas of how you can learn how to live, how to become a champion in life, know your purpose, and live life with a lot of hope.
Coach, this is a really powerful book, and I know having you as a coach has been something that's extremely special to all of your players. And now what you get to do is, for those of us, or for those out there who did not get a chance to play for you, this is almost like we're getting a chance to play for you. You're going to coach us through this book. What in this book specifically, what is the most important part of this book to you?
I think probably the most important thing is to understand that God loves us so much, and He has created us to be victors, not victims. And He has given us unique skills and abilities that we can all be champions. We have gotten to the point where we think we need to live a life of comfort. Anytime somebody says, I just want to be comfortable, that is a lie. Anybody who wants to be comfortable, they have lost their desire to dream, to move forward. That is one of the biggest lies I think we have in our society, to just live a life of comfort. That destroys your dream. That destroys your desire. We need to have issues in our life. We need to have struggles in our lives. When I was coaching the kids in weightlifting, when I have the kids come into the weight room, I want them to get to the point where they add weight. Nobody has ever progressed in strength by lifting the same weight over and over and over. You got to have a struggle. You got to add weight. You got to have some resistance. And trying to live a life of comfort destroys your dreams. We need to have struggles in our life. That grows our faith, and that grows us to be victors, and that grows us to be champions.
Coach, I have two more questions for you. One is going to be about the book. One is going to be about the game. About the book, I asked you this question when Cass and I were calling the Pickerington North Central game at halftime in our interview, and I said, you have a lot of titles in your life. You have dad, you have son, you have coach, you have mentor, so many of them. But why is coach your favorite title?
I think coach, the title coach, means that you have gotten involved with the person's life. You become a part of that person. You're not only teaching them skills and abilities, you're becoming a person who will stand beside them and fight through their struggles and help them with their battles. Life will knock you down, and it's not that life will knock you down. It's what you do when you're down. Who's going to help you up? How are you going to get up? That's what a coach does. A coach picks you up when somebody knocks you down. A coach encourages you to fight and never quit and never give up. And that's what a champion does. A champion will not quit, never give up, and will try to do their best all the time. They just never will give in.
Coach, finally, Ohio State's playing Michigan on Saturday. We're talking about being a champion. Ohio State wants to be the first team in school history to go become back-to-back national champions. But something this team has done, they've won a national championship, but they've not beaten Michigan. They've not won the Big Ten. What is your prediction for this game on Saturday?
Looking at Ohio State and watching them play, this could be one of the best teams that Ohio State's ever put on the field. They are absolutely outstanding. My prediction is that going into this game, especially this game, it doesn't make any difference about how many games you won and what rewards you've already received, and it's all about your heart. This game is a game of heart, like no other game. The team that has the biggest heart and plays with the biggest heart is going to win the game, and that's what you're going into this game about. Everybody's got good kids. Everybody can play hard, but they've got to play with a lot of heart. Last year that their ground game was awful. I don't think they got 100 yards last year. I guarantee they're going to get 100 yards this year of rushing. They're ready to play, and those kids are going to play with a lot of heart. I think they're going to blow Michigan up.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go. All right, we're going to take one quick last commercial break, pay some bills, bring Brandon back on there, Coach. Thank you for coming on the inaugural Silver Bulletin show here live at Hoggy's, 830 Bethel Road. And we're going to bring in Branden Bowen back on, and we're going to talk about the game on Saturday right here on Fairfield County Sports Network.
Buckeye Lake Marina is a full-service marina offering new and used boats for sale. Brands like Bennington, Crown Line, South Bay, and Chaparral. They also do boat service, canvas repair, and custom boat covers, and they sell ethanol-free recreational fuel. Located in Millersport at 2920 Canal Drive, 740-467-2697. Online at BuckeyeLakeMarina.com.
Kings Grand Central in Rushville is a proud sponsor of the student athletes covered here on the Fairfield County Sports Network. They are located at 8340 Main Street in Rushville, Ohio. Kings Grand Central in Rushville has a passion for pizza and pasta and so much more. They have dine-in and carry-out available. They are open from 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Tuesday to Thursday, and 3 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and closed on Sunday and Monday. You can order online by going to kingsgrandcentral.com or by calling 740-240-1044. Thank you, Kings Grand Central in Rushville, for sponsoring the Fairfield County Sports Network.
The Fairfield County Sports Network is proud to support the student athletes in our community. We cover all 12 high schools in our county in all of the major sports: football and volleyball in the fall, boys and girls basketball in the winter, and baseball and softball in the spring. If you would like to sponsor these broadcasts and make it possible for our kids to get this coverage, please visit the Contact Us section on our website. Thanks to the staff and volunteers of the Fairfield County Sports Network for shining a bright light on our outstanding athletes.
And welcome back to Hoggies right here on Bethel Road. We're back here at TSB Live. Real quick shout, tomorrow night, first basketball game, we are live at Amanda Clear Creek High School as Liberty Union Lady Lions take on the Amanda Clear Creek Lady Aces. Both teams are 0-1 on the season, early start to the season. So girls basketball tomorrow night right here on the Red Stream. Myself and Chris Voigt will have the action. But we are here to talk about the game, and we're going to talk about the game this Saturday, Ohio State against that team up north.
Yeah, again, guys, this is TSB Live. Branden Bowen back on the set. Brandon, Coach Johnson was talking about the team that plays with the most heart is going to win this game. What does Coach mean when he says the team with the most heart is going to win this game?
I'd say you have to want it. It's the team that this game means the most to, and who kind of understands the gravity of how much this game means to not only the team and to the fans, but to the state of Ohio, and and everything that goes with that. So
let's talk about the game this week. You talk about a very veteran defense who is giving up just a little over 7 points a game. Has only allowed 100-yard rusher on the season, and giving up only 75 points total this year. That's the advantage Ohio State has over that team up north, where in the past 3-4 years they've had a veteran defense in the advantage. Talk about Ohio State's defense against that team up north's offense and the young freshman Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, like I said before, I think Bryce is I think Underwood's a great quarterback, but I think Matt Patricia in combination with a completely veteran defense, I don't see them handling it very well.
Do you think it almost is kind of disadvantageous for Michigan that Underwood? You could argue he's better than their most recent quarterback.
For sure.
Last year, that guy was basically an intramural quarterback, and then we got JJ McCarthy, aka 9 in the NFL, and yet he's
Very
not
scary.
doing much. Do you think they might kind of? Because of that, do you think they might kind of shy away from their traditional, just pound the rock, bleed clock, and really try to put it in Underwood's hands? Because I can see that being almost like a disadvantage to them if they shy away from that.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I were them, I would definitely play the game of run the ball, kind of let toughness win and try to just run the clock out and try to get out of there with some points. Because I think if you try to go with an air raid offense with a young quarterback against a very talented Ohio State defense, I don't think it's going to go very well.
Because it would basically be the equivalent of what Ohio State tried to do last year, was pound the rock and play Michigan's game. If Michigan thinks they're going to come and air it out to Marsh and McCauley, I just don't see that playing very well for them. I see being a very long day for the Wolverines if that happens.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would worry about with that is just the Buckeyes defense getting lulled to sleep, getting too routine with them running the ball. Sure, they throw a few passes in there, but just kind of getting lulled to sleep and then having that tight end run down the seam. That's what you always see.
Yeah.
Do you think Jordan Marshall's health could be a big factor?
I think so, but I also think that this is their national championship, as is every other team when they play Ohio State, and so I think they're going to go out and lay it all out there on the line.
Brandon, who's your X factor on the defense for Ohio State? We have so many talented guys playing on that unit. Even Matt Patricia, of that group, who's your X factor in this game? Styles make fights in this matchup. Caleb Downs is a chess piece, kind of use him anywhere. Close to line of scrimmage, walk him up. Who's your X factor?
I would just say Caleb Downs. I think he does a great job managing the game and being that veteran on a veteran defense who has that next level kind of football IQ and understanding to the game. I think for him to be able to take a step back literally and figuratively and seeing what's going on and being able to coach this defense, I think he's a coach as much as he is a player, just at least from what I've seen and from what I've heard. I think he's the X factor for sure, as we have said all year. So.
Right.
He's he kind of reminds you of like a Mike Doss and Jordan Fuller all in one player.
Jay Fuller
type of player, because Jordan Fuller was so smart. You could tell he was so smart on that Ohio State your defense in 2019. I look at a guy like Caden McDonald. The interior line was the question mark going into this season.
For sure.
And what has that team up north done is won the line of scrimmage. Caden McDonald is another X factor in my eyes that could really disrupt the game. Like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, and I texted these guys, how many quarter pounders with cheese has that kid eat? That kid is so massive. He's got a McDonald's NIL deal.
For sure, has to. Him and Edric.
Yeah, Edric.
we can't forget Caden Curry too. Caden Curry's having an awesome.
He's a cat. That's a dog right there.
He should have had a touchdown last week.
Yeah.
Offensively, which backs do you think will play the biggest factor? Because we got like 4 good backs right now. We got Jackson, Peoples, C.J. Donaldson, the touchdown king, and then we got Isaiah West.
I think it's going to be Jackson and Peoples. I think they've earned their right to this game, and I think they're going to be our best chance at breaking some of those big ones.
Brandon, as an offensive lineman going into this game, knowing the running game is so important. We talked about the mentality of that room and what it's like for you guys preparing for this. But I'm going to take you a step back here. Let's put you in the shoes of Ryan Day and Brian Hartline. What is your game plan offensively here, and how would you attack that Michigan defense and approach this game?
I would say stick to what we do best and get into a rhythm. You know, I wouldn't say that Ohio State's a rhythmic offense, but once you get into your rhythm and you play your game, I don't think there's a team in the country that's going to stop Ohio State's offense. Honestly, I think they just have to play their game, let loose a little bit, get comfortable, and then the run game will come. I don't think people need to get up in arms in the first couple quarters if the run game's not there.
What makes that Ohio State offense so versatile and able to attack so many different ways?
One, I think it's the talent, but also I think it's Coach Day and Coach Hartline. I think those two guys are offensive masterminds. You know, I've just even being able to learn from Coach Day and some of what he looks at, what he looks for in defenses, how he game plans. I think it's just those two guys are just the best in the country, easily.
Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate is the talk all week. Are they going to play? I'm going to believe that both of them are going to give it a shot and play. I think you could see Carnell being more of a pitch cow. Day has kept injuries since he's been the head coach as under the table. You know, I felt like 2022, Travion Henderson was hurt, and like Chip Trainin was the starting running back, and I think that's one of the reasons why we lost that game in 2022.
For sure.
I think that they're both going to play. I know there's a lot of speculation, and whether how healthy they are or not, they're going to give it a go. You still got to give Julian Sayin in his rhythm, and there could be a weather factor. We've been hearing, all week too, but
it gets cold here too.
It gets cold here.
Yeah, everyone's a meteorologist this week.
I look at it this way: Tennessee was in the teens. Like people say, well, Julian Sayin's from California. He was on the sidelines during the Tennessee game last year.
What is it supposed to be, like below 32 or something? Is that what
exactly. I just think Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, if they play, could really spark that, like we talked about, the Mylan Graham and Brandon Ennis and Max Clear, because what I think Team Up North defensively on Wink Markendale is going to do is try to take those two guys out of the game.
I think so too.
I was just gonna say, is it realistic? Like, if you're Hartline or Day, how could you possibly get us to score 100 points? How could we hang 100?
You better get that ball in Sayin's hands and let him sling it every play. I'm here for it though. I'd love to drop 100 on them. They deserve it after the last few years.
We need a Michigan State 2021 performance twice, and then we need to go for two.
I honestly think, as jacked up as Gus Johnson gets, if Ohio State has up 40-something to 7 at halftime, you're going to have, and Jack Sawyer scoops it up and scores a touchdown like he did for the Purdue game last year. I don't think that's going to happen. We would love to see that happen, but because that game is relative. This game, throw everything out the books. As a player, Coach Johnson knows as a coach, and we know as fans that this game's going to be intense no matter what. And my wife's sitting over there, and she knows how intense I can get. In the last 4 years, she's hoping that the Buckeyes win, because then she can talk to her husband after the game and have a great conversation.
That's pretty funny. I would say the same, because I don't do well with a whole lot of people ask me what's going on, and I'm just like, I have no idea. I can't tell you.
Yeah, Brandon, we're talking about this game and all the build-up for it, and we know Ohio State's obviously playing for gold pants, and then you're playing for a trip to Indianapolis. Michigan, though, they have a potential trip to Indianapolis on the line, depending on how the tiebreakers work and other results, but they could also be playing for a playoff berth here.
For sure.
So there's a lot on the line in this game already as it is. We're throwing out records, but there are playoff implications both ways for this one. So let's come back down to earth from the hanging 100 here. What are some of the keys to this game, both sides? Let's go around, maybe starting with Ohio State and then coming back for Michigan. What are the keys to this game here on Saturday?
I'd say that, like I said before, the biggest key is just play your game. You know, don't let the lights be too big. Don't let the noise be too loud. Just play your game. You know exactly who you are. You know exactly the training that you've gone through in your off season. And that's kind of really the biggest part. And trust yourself, trust your team, trust your teammates, trust your coaches. It'll work out as long as you do your job.
That's exactly what Coach Day's been talking about all year. He's like, you got to trust the process. He's like, the process is the process for a reason. We got to stay focused on that. They read the book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, and the offseason just learning that day by day. These are the things that you're supposed to do, and it's going to work out. Like, if you're doing these things every day, you're going to see the results of that.
You could see it in this team because what did Caleb Downs and all them and Sonny Styles and all them say at the beginning of the year? We don't want them banners up. We haven't won anything right now. Yeah. And you just love that mentality out of this football team, and that's why I feel like I'm with you guys. Just play your game because this is a different mentality that this Buckeye team is bringing.
Yeah, this game's gonna be a great game, and I know like Barstool Prez, he's acting like it doesn't mean anything. If Ohio State
knows what's coming.
I know if Ohio State loses, he's gonna say the fans it doesn't mean anything. It means everything to us. Just score prediction. I mean, do you have a score prediction?
I'm gonna go 45-10 Buckeyes. Whew. Yeah, I think they get a field goal early, and I think they get a touchdown late game. But other than that, I don't think they score any other points. And then I think the Buckeye offense could honestly hang 60 on them if they turn the snap count up and played how they used to play. I think if they wanted to, they could hang 60.
I think it's coming.
I think it is too.
I really do think it's coming. I think Matt Patricia is going to confuse this freshman quarterback. And I like Bryce Underwood. I think he's a good player. He's a fine kid.
I think so too.
He's very humble for a young quarterback that makes $13 million. The lights are not too bright for the kid, but I just think he's a freshman. You got to think he's 18 years old.
He's only seen so much.
Yeah.
He is from Michigan, though. It means a lot to him. I'll say that. I just don't see them scoring a lot of points, though. Michigan. It's just the offense. It's the same offense we've seen year after year, and I just feel like they don't have. Marshall's a great back, but he's not that big pounding back that's gonna just get 3 yards in a cloud of dust every time. He's more dynamic, but we'll see. I'm excited.
What's the score?
Oh, I want to say 100-0, but no, I'll go with 35-17. I think there'll be some trickery. I think they'll get a trick play or two in.
Well, since I'm the grandpa at this table, the dad, the 37-year-old, I've seen a lot. I've seen this game a lot. I'm a little old school. I got 28-13 Ohio State.
Okay.
But we're going to dominate. We're going to dominate.
I like that.
So, Brandon, I want to ask you another question first before I close this one out, score prediction-wise. Bryce Underwood has played all of the biggest games so far this year away. This game is at home for him. How big of a factor is that going to be for him, playing in front of his home crowd in the biggest game of the season? And then for you as a player, what's the difference playing at home and on the road for you?
For me personally, I enjoyed playing on the road much more than I liked playing at home. And that's nothing against Ohio. I loved playing in Ohio Stadium, but I love the hostile environment, the chaos, the people yelling at you, booing at you, spitting at you, Penn State. That happened. I just love that hostile environment. I think it takes me to a whole new level. But I think for him, I think it could be a bad thing that he's playing at home. You got all your family and friends, and I think it could help and make him play better. But he's got a lot of pressure. This is the biggest game of your career, and up to this point, in front of all of your family and friends in your home stadium, everyone's counting on you to beat the Buckeyes, and I think it's just gonna be too much for him.
Yeah. No, I think. Even looking at Ohio State's two receivers, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, the health of them, I do think that Jeremiah Smith is going to play. And then Carnell Tate, we're going to wait and see what happens there. We're not going to have any intel, until Saturday, right before when the availability report has to come out. They're going to be in warm-ups when we find out exactly.
You'll see him in pads.
Right. He will be playing. Correct.
I'll say this. Exactly. It's November, late November. No one feels good at this point in the season. No. Everyone's hurting. I'm hurting. I'm not even playing.
Had a torn labrum and a broken fibula in November at this point, my senior year.
Real quick before Blake gives gives his prediction. Julian Sand beats that team up north first time in 5 years. Goes on, outduels Fernando Mendoza as he's hosting the trophy as Ohio State's 8th Heisman Trophy winner.
I think so. I don't see why not. You know, you gotta get a young kid who's come in and completely, I don't want to say changed Ohio State's offense, but he's kind of made it his own in very quick fashion in a way that we really, I don't think, have seen before. You know, he's got the swagger at the same time as he's got the play to just be able to sling it to some of these guys. And yes, he has all the talent in the world, but I mean, come on, you're seeing the same balls that I am that he's throwing. That cat is special.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, so I think Ryan Day and Ohio State, they're going to turn it up on offense this week too. I do think we're going to see a lot of fireworks, at least from there. Definitely Jeremiah Smith on the field. If Carnell Tate's in there, maybe we'll tack on another touchdown. I'll make this prediction as if Jeremiah Smith is just going to play. So I'll go ahead and say 31-17, Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes get it done. Brandon, one of the customary things we do on the show, we give our guest a final closing thought. So if you're going to end this show with a closing thought on this game, what is that thought going to be?
I would say go Bucks, and fuck the team up north. That's all.
All right, we got some swag to give out. Thank you, Branden Bowen. So the last question to give out this wonderful Hoggies t-shirt. What was the final score of the 2019 That Team Up North game, Branden Bowen's senior year?
Anybody out here?
Anybody in the crowd?
We got a lot of thinkers in the audience.
I think we got Google?
Bueller?
647.
There we go.
There it is. Brandon, thank you for coming on. Thank you, Coach Johnson, for coming on. Everybody, thank you for listening right here on the Fairfield County Sports Network. Thank you guys on Twitter, on the TSB Live. Real quick, our episode of the Bunch of Nuts podcast is this podcast, so once we get this all downloaded and uploaded, I'll send it over to Dan, and we will have this up on Spotify, Apple Music, and all wherever you get your streaming. Again, thank you, Brandon, and go Bucks. Beat that team up north.
Guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in to TSB Live. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.